Can you hear me now? Happy Sabbath, everyone. I am blessed to be here with you today. Thank you so much, Pastor Titus. It's an honor and a blessing to be a part of the Wisconsin camp meeting this year. I would like to share with you my story and some of my favorite Bible verses. Psalm 139:13. For you created my inmost being. You knit me together in my mother's womb. I will praise thee, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Marvelous are thy works, and that my soul knows right well. All the days ordained for me were written in your book before one of them came to be. And as you can see, I was born with physical limitations. I don't have a right arm, but a stub, and a right leg that is 8 inches shorter and smaller than my left. It only has 3 toes, and I have to wear an elevated shoe wherever I go. Otherwise, I would limp when I walk. I remembered growing up how difficult it was. I remembered not having any friends. I remembered that every time I would come home from school, I would run directly into my bedroom and cry myself to sleep. Whenever I look at myself in the mirror, I would cry because I looked different and I thought I looked awful. It came to the point where I questioned God, what did I do so wrong to deserve being born like this? However, I was blessed to have a grandmother who taught me about Jesus and how much Jesus loves me. She told me that every time I feel alone, I could just talk to Jesus. That's what I did. And Jesus has become my very, very, very best friend. And I don't know what to do without him in my life. So Grandma, I remember when I was growing up, I would hang out at my grandparents' house and I would watch my aunt play the piano. So one day, my grandma asked me, do you want to learn how to play the piano as well? And I said yes. So she went to 3 piano teachers before she was able to find one who was willing to take me. The first piano teacher that she went to, she told us that we were just wasting both our time and hers. And she told us that I would never be able to play the piano at all. But thank God, Grandma didn't give up until she was able to find one who was willing to take me. She made a bargain with the fourth teacher by telling her, why don't you do this? You can teach Mary Grace even with her left hand only, and I'll pay for the price of both hands. So the first few months I played the piano using my left hand only, but later on, we realized that I could also use my stub. I modified the pieces that I played. My stub plays mainly the melody, and my left hand picks up the rest of the chords for the right. I used to practice at least 4 hours a day, and there were times when my stub would bleed. I remembered I was giving a concert somewhere in Tennessee, and the moment I played my first piece, my stub started to bleed, so I was nervous. But I prayed, and I'm glad that the Lord was there to help me out. Looking back, I realized why God allowed me to go through all the tough times growing up, and even up to now. He wanted me to realize how much I need Him in my life, and how important He is to me. And from the very first day I started taking piano lessons, I made a promise to myself and to God that I will make every day of my life count for Him. So I have been traveling and giving concerts. When I was growing up, I always wanted to be a missionary through my music. And I am so blessed that the Lord gave me my adoptive mom, Reva. I was born and raised in the Philippines, and I came here back in 2001 to give a concert in Tennessee and Louisiana, about 2 hours and 30 minutes from where my adoptive mom lived. And when I gave the concert, at first she didn't want to drive 2 hours and 30 minutes to see me, but her sister was able to convince her, and when we met, we bonded, and later on, she told me that I was the answer to her prayer. Because at that time, she was just getting started with Adopted Minister International. And then I came along, and that's what I've been doing. I travel and give concerts. I realized one thing. I was thinking my stop was not just right. If it were any longer and shorter, probably it would be hard for me to play the piano. I have an elbow joint right here which I could not bend. And I was thinking if it weren't bendable, perhaps it would be difficult for me to play the piano as well. And there's like a fleshy protrusion right at the tip of my stump. That's just the right size to hit one key. So having said that, I know without a doubt that I was created perfect after all. So here are some of my pictures when I was growing up. Psalm 17:8, I am the apple of his eye. Deuteronomy 7:6, I am his treasured possession. Philippians 4:13, I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. So I have been traveling by myself most of the time, and you know how much it takes to travel, especially with my condition. And I don't know what happened. All I knew is that since I am wearing an elevated shoe, if I step on something as tiny as a tic-tac, it would throw me off. Back in 2016, I was supposed to be traveling to Boston to perform during the Disability Awareness Sabbath, one of the churches there. I was in Atlanta getting ready to board, and the moment I took my next step, I fell and I broke my right femur. And can you imagine how terrified I was? Sorry, with the spotlight and everything. But anyway, the first 30 minutes I didn't have any pain. So I was thinking maybe I could catch the next flight back home to Louisiana to be with my family. But I prayed and I prayed, and I'm glad that the Lord helped me decide to stay in Atlanta, because 45 minutes into it, the pain was excruciating that I could not even lift my leg. So that happened on a Friday. They did the surgery the following day, Sabbath. And after that, I had to stay in Atlanta, and my adoptive parents drove from Baton Rouge to pick me up. We drove back home, saw a local orthopedic surgeon, only to find out that the bones were not connecting. So in less than a month, I had to go through 2 major surgeries. I started to question God. You know, it took me a long time before I have finally made peace with my past, accepted my disability, and something like this happened. But thank God, I have a very prayerful support system, and they helped me realize that I should be thankful instead. Because had it been my good leg or arm, or had it been my stump, it probably would have been worse. The devil was trying to stop me from serving God, but I'm glad I know to whom I belong. So the second surgeon decided to put a longer metal rod with 10 screws. So I'm a full-fledged bionic woman now. Romans 8:28, and we know that all things work together for good to those who love God, to those who are called according to his purpose. Jeremiah 29:11, for I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. So these are my adoptive parents, Riva and J.R. Moore, and my adoptive mom was the one who started Adopted Minister International. And the adopted ministers that we have, they baptize 30 to 40,000 precious souls every year. And I will be sharing a video about adopted minister later. But the adopted ministers are very dedicated in what they do. Sometimes we wonder, you know, those adopted ministers, it takes them 12 years to finish theology. And sometimes we wonder why they still want to take theology, even if they know that there's no guaranteed job for them. But I guess once the Lord calls me, you cannot really say no. So that's what I do. I travel to give concerts for the adopted ministers. And several years ago, though, there were people who wanted to introduce Mary Grace to the world. They told me that I could make a lot of money off my talent. I could make that much money that I could buy anything that I wanted. However, they also told me that I could not mention anything about God, nor the ministry that I'm so passionate about. They only wanted me to talk about Mary Grace and what Mary Grace can do. So I have to turn them down because they know it's not about me now, it's about God. And it's not about what I can do, but about what God can do through me. And every time I give concerts, I pray that as you see me, you don't see me playing the piano as Mary Grace, but you see Jesus. Because I know that I am nothing without Him. And it is only because of Him, because of His love, His mercy, and His grace that I am here, standing in front of you today. And let us always remember that everything that God allows to come our way is with a reason. He uses even the greatest error and the deepest hurt to mold us into persons of worth and value. And I mentioned earlier that I didn't have any friends growing up, but look at what I have now. The Lord has blessed me. I have nothing to complain about. And all He needs from us is total surrender. If we surrender our all to Him, if we put Him number one in all that we do, make Him famous, He will surely work wonders in our lives. Thank you so much once again for this wonderful opportunity, and may God bless us all.